Hi. Well, there's so much I could talk about from yesterday, but one lesson: exiting. Charlton Derby. Derby are leading. Derby laid. I'd think 1.64, something like that. Now, when do you get out? If you've laid Derby, do you get out immediately at the 1-1? Or do you wait for Charlton to win? If they're going to win. Of course, if you've laid Derby, you can stay in because you've got the draw covered. Laying means you've backed Charlton and the draw. So if it is 1-1, problem is you've still got some liability outstanding. So when do you get out? It's an important question to answer. This will be part of the dilemma you face quite a lot this new season. Lincoln have taken an unexpected lead against Middlesbrough. That's when we get involved. We lay over 1.5 goals. Now, because Middlesbrough +1, which is my preferred route, which covers the draw, particularly on opening matches of the season, was not available. Far too skinny. You have to go necessarily into the match odds, where you back Middlesbrough half stake, lay Lincoln half stake as liability. Now, 1-1 is your first exit point, but of course, your profits will be skinny, particularly if you've done insurance. So, if we've gone match odds, we need a quick equaliser, ideally within the first 15 minutes of the second half, to give the market an idea that Borough can go on and get the win. But you're huffing and a puffing. It comes 62nd minute. That's your first cash out opportunity. Okay. If you weigh up whether Borough can get another goal with half an hour to go with home advantage and not the greatest stats on the planet, then you decide whether to stay in, take a loss on the draw, or take a full profit if we can get the win. And as you can see, we just about got there by the skin of our teeth. So it does reward those who want to stay in. Well, a play like this, the liability is so low, it doesn't matter. You can just leave it to play out. And we got the Oxford United equaliser. So in that regard, you don't have to worry about exiting. When I give you a play like this, the expectation is that the liability is gone because it's so late in the match. The likelihood of it coming in is minimal. Probability is not with you. But we had a weapon on our hands. We had momentum for Oxford United. We had home advantage for Oxford United. So some of these, you won't need to create an exit point. Now, this is the scenario I want to cultivate this season. And this is the decisions you're making. For example, you'd have had the equivalent loss on the draw in the Middlesbrough match. So would you have been willing to take the hit in the Middlesbrough match in the hope of picking up the greater profit if they can pull it off, a la Genk? What if Middlesbrough had ended 1-1? Would you have been happy taking a hit on the liability? Yes, it's a hit we've got controlled. It's a controlled liability loss. We've controlled it. We've decided that we can, or we're willing to take it in the hope of pushing it for a greater profit. So some of these matches will pay off, as you saw with Middlesbrough and you saw with Genk. Now this is a great match to talk to you about exits. Okay. Now, it's a fascinating match, so much going on. First things first, at the bottom here we should have the odds. Well, we used to back in the good old days. We've got the odds here. 1.46 home favourite. So automatically you're primed for a performance from the home team. What are you going to do when Urega turns up and scores an early goal for Westerlo? You've got two options. You can go half-time market, or you can go match odds. I went match odds because you're getting a 1.46 shot at over evens now with only 6 minutes gone. Okay. So we lay over 1.5 goals, cover that 0-1 in case they pull off the unexpected, and they did. But the second goal was an own goal from Mr. Smets, so that didn't alarm me. Indeed, I top up. So we're talking about exit points here. Would you have exited panicking at 0-2? No. It's too early in the match to panic. Top up. That's why this isn't £40 liability. It's a bit higher. My top up, I go in again, back Genk at higher odds. Not with a full stake, but with a fiver to a £40 liability. So that puts it in perspective. An eighth added on. An eighth liability loss laying Westerlo 2 goals up at even shorter odds. So if we're talking about exits, would you have panicked and got out there in your inexperience? Some of you new traders. You've got to look at the nuance of the match. It's a 90-minute match. Do a bit of Carol Vorderman maths here, if my maths is right. 77 minutes left for a 1.46 shot at home to deliver. Your second test of whether you're going to exit here will be a look at Genk's in-play stats. Now, you're going to have to take it on faith because there's only 13 minutes worth of in-play stats to work off, and they might not have woken up yet, quite obviously. So you take the faith, you top up. That's your second exit point. Now, with Maria Hamner, if we'd have exited at the 0-2, we'd have got at least a bit of our liability back. So you see the difference here. We've got a 1.46 favourite here at home. We had an SJK away from home whose momentum was just god-awful. Thankfully, we've got a 41st minute goal. Now, talking about exit points again. Those of you who were thinking this is going to be a walk in the park for Genk, but they are huffing and a puffing. This is a penalty, for goodness sake, from Djurgarden. Wonder if Nick Rhodes took it. So 0-2 to 1-2, that's your exit point. Why? Because you've averaged up here. You've averaged up rather than exit. Because it's so early. You've backed Genk at even better odds. You've laid Westerlo at even better odds, even shorter odds. This goal effectively creates a break-even exit point. Now, you'll make a marginal loss on your insurance, but your insurance would have been a 1.05, 1.06 play because there's 84 minutes left. So remember this scenario. When we're talking about exiting, don't press the panic button at 0-2 when we're expecting an avalanche of goals for the opponent. Top up. Hope for the normal service to be resumed, which indeed it was. With aplomb, as Ron Manager would say. A 2-2 here. Heinen getting in on the act. That is a definite exit point. If you want to take the money and run to the hills because they weren't performing as 1.46 favourites. So that's a really good exit point without needing to look for the win. Again, it will reward the person who stays in. So you wouldn't have made a £12 loss here, you'd have made a green screen at 2-2 because you've topped up on Genk, topped up on the lay of Westerlo. Are you willing to take a hit on the draw? That's going to be your answer today and this season in the hope of a bigger return. You saw it with Middlesbrough. You've seen it with Beboot, 79th minute here with Genk. A little earlier than Middlesbrough's 91st minute winner. That's a definite cash out. So if you're willing to take the hit on the draw, you can be amply rewarded, as you've seen on 2 occasions. One last exit point scenario you might be meeting this season. I like to sometimes take on sides with a 3-0 lead early on, particularly when they were 2.7 pre-match favourite, as it was the case with Hertha Berlin. Now, we got a 3-0 to 3-1. This, at 3-1, this turned into about a £7.60, £7.70 profit. Now, of course, move your decimal point to the right, that's a £70 profit for a single goal. But unless you've got a huge betting bank, you wouldn't be putting up £41 liability. You'd need something like for me, put that up, something like a £6,000 betting bank if you're going to be laying 3-0 with 40 quid. But you'd be amply rewarded. That would be up to £1,000, wouldn't it? But at the 3-1, it's a near 1 to 2 risk reward. So think about exiting if you want at the 3-1. But of course, the liability is so low, I don't want you to exit. Let the game develop. 3-2, 3-3, etc. Let me show you a recent example. Well, let's take a look at John McEnroe's favourite team. You cannot be having a good season at the top. Looking at their most recent match, it's a 0-3 lead. It's nice and early. They are about 2.3 favourite. Well worth laying. And look at the response. Now, at the 1-3, you could have made that 1 to 2 risk reward return. Are you going to wait it out for the 2-3, which is an even better return because it's still early in the second half? Are you going to wait out for the 3-3? Because obviously Jacob Bergstrom has had his shredded wheat. Look at that. 3-3, that's an even bigger return. And of course, if you lay Sirius 3-0 up and back Mjällby small stakes 3-0 down, Ollie Lindberg would be on your Christmas card list with that 4-3. So exiting, have a think about risk reward for your exiting. I think this is a really good day yesterday to show you how and when and whether you want to exit at the first available green, or if you want to have a controlled liability risk and a small gamble looking for the big return, which we saw twice. We saw the Middlesbrough and the Genk yesterday. Rewarding those who were willing to take a hit on the draw in the hope of a bigger return. You're going to see a few more of these scenarios today. So have a think about your exit strategies. And those of you who lay the draw second half, perhaps in the likes of the Northampton match, have a think about an exit strategy there. For me, it would be, if we get to, we've got a £40 liability on the draw. If we get to a third of that liability, which is 1-3, £13, I exit. Okay. I've given Northampton a chunk of time to score a goal at 1.46 at home. Yes, it's the opening match of the season. So yes, surprises can occur. So maybe on these opening matches of the season, we need to be a bit more aware of creating an exit strategy rather than a full liability loss, laying the draws, laying the 0-0 second half, because we don't have any form to work with. So plenty to think about from this exiting perspective. Have a great day, members, and I'll see you on Telegram a little bit later.